StreamYard since the last time I was on here.
Oh, they did. They a lot of things.
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to something we call American Hammers TV. I know it's been a while. Last time I was on here, I said I know it's been a while. This time it's been an even longer while. Anyway, I'm not making any excuses. We just haven't done a show in a long time, and that's how it is. But we couldn't miss doing it tonight because, as everybody knows, everybody in West Ham world knows, tomorrow is our first European final since 1976, when I was 2 years old. And half of West Ham's global fan base has traveled to Prague, apparently. At least if you look on Twitter, everybody on Twitter is in Prague,
Yeah,
including, right? I mean, everybody,
everybody.
including our friend Lucas, who I hope he's, in at least a semi conscious state somewhere. um, I would love. It's 3 o'clock. Hey, Wally, I would love if he would dial in with us, but it's 3 o'clock in the morning there. There's no way that dude is like in any condition to come on the show, and I hope he's having a good time. So, because we love Lucas, and I'm so glad he got to go over, and it's just I think it's fantastic for him that he's getting to do that. Anyway, it's great to be here with everybody. Um, do we still sell stuff, Tim? Do we still have that store?
Yeah, the shop's still open. We're still selling stuff, believe it or not. It's crazy. Always
Yeah. So,
the
if you're
DC
gonna,
Irons people are buying stuff. The Boston Hammers just bought a ton of stuff. Yeah, we
did
get
they?
loads of stuff in the shop. Oh yeah.
See, I need to buy some stuff myself because my I ruined a couple of my shirts trying to get stains out of them, and
Yeah.
I put too much stain stuff on them, and they got all bleached. So
Oh yeah. AHTV.threadless.com.
yep,
The shop is still open and there's plenty of stuff. And if you guys have if there's any new supporters groups that have popped up since we've been around or haven't been around, if you want to have your stuff sold in our shop, we obviously we do like a 50-50 split. So
yep,
of the profits, and
yep.
we set that up nice, and it's a great way you don't have to deal with inventory, you don't have to deal with printing stuff. There's this company that does all that for us, and we just give you a home to be able to do that, and it helps us continue to try to find other supporters groups and find places for people to go to watch matches with each other, and yeah, it helps you guys. So reach out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. AHTV.threadless.com. Threadless is in without threads, threadless. Good stuff out there, actually. Some really good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw my link up here for my young friend in the Gambia, whose West Ham team have done so well. They went to the semifinals of a cup competition. They lost in the semifinal on penalties. This on June 18th, on Sunday the 18th, they play in the semifinal of a local league in the village where they live, and they are trying to actually break into like the third division of Gambian football. And they've worked really hard. They're a great bunch of kids. They have everything they have basically because of us, because of our support. And I talked to Ensa today. He's super pumped about the final. He's just like, you know, he's really excited. He's going to go to. He doesn't have a satellite a TV in his house, so he's going to go to a friend's house. He's going to go like 5 or 10 miles and go to a friend's house and watch the game. So anyway, if you guys are up to supporting him, I'm putting the link up there. It's my own personal thing. It's not an AHTV thing, but I'm so proud of them. They've done so well, and they're continuing to play. They've really brought this club a long way. So anyway, plus we don't want him to get out fundraised by like there's a Tottenham club there. There's a guy from
Forget
Villa
about
who yeah there's a guy from Villa who has he's got a club that he's
Villa.
yeah, he's got a bunch of connections in the Gambia, and he's like, he started this club, and he goes out to Villa Park on match days and he collects money for them. It's a cool thing to do. I mean,
Yes.
it's cool. No, I'm totally for it, right? I mean, ultimately, it's a humanitarian thing to do, right? I just don't want to get outdone by Villa or Tottenham.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all I'm saying. Um, okay. So yeah, so that's most of what we usually talk about, right?
Yeah, just thank you, Fresh and Wally and Mark, for popping in this early in this show, and hopefully more people pop in, and make sure you say hello to each other, and yeah,
Yeah, I mean, so we may have a couple more people coming on tonight. I don't know. We sent out, we kind of cast a wide net, see who's out, but it's been a while since we've done this, so it's hard to. We got to remind people who we are. Anyway, the people who are on the screen with me tonight need no introduction, particularly my neighbor down the street. Well, almost down the street. in Lowell, Mass. Tim, who founded American Hammers TV and American Hammers Network and all the stuff that we're doing right now. He founded all of it, and he's the reason we're all here. And of course, in Reno, Nevada, by way of South Florida, it's Scott. How you doing, Scott?
Great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. No. Unfortunately, we are not headed to Prague tomorrow. Tim is going to be on a mail route tomorrow, listening to the game. I'm probably going to go to a friend's house out west of Boston and watch there. And Scott's flying to Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the best deal of all of us. He's going
Yeah.
to go hang out with the Vegas Hammers. That's going to be a good time. John Black, who's I think Scott, you said he was working tonight. Otherwise, we'd love to have him on with us.
I sent him the link anyway. I think he said that he might pop in 15 minutes or so.
Yeah,
but,
he said
yeah.
he might be able
good.
to pop in like 15 minutes. So.
I sent him the link already.
Well, so it'd be great to have him because he's been on a bunch with us over the years, and then of course we might have another couple of special guests come in if they're if and when their families cooperate and they're available. So, but in the meantime, we'll do it. We'll go with the three of us. Does anybody here know anything about Fiorentina?
I've been studying Fiorentina.
All right, tell me what you know because I don't know anything.
I've been studying a lot, so
yeah, very little.
I was concerned because they either play a 4-2-3-1 or they play a 4-3-3. And it was funny because I was trying to look for a pattern because I was trying to guess to see what kind of lineups. I guess the predicted lineups for tomorrow were we're probably going to be doing a 4-3-3, they'll be doing a 4-3-3, or we'll be doing a 4-2-3-1, whatever. So I'm like looking, I'm like, well, how do they do against that? And then they beat Roma recently, very recently, 2-1. They smashed somebody else. I think it was Sassuolo or whatever. And again, it's so weird because there's no pattern to it. So what happens is if another team plays 4-3-3, they will generally play the 4-2-3-1, or if they play some sort of weird formation like a 3-5-2 or a 4-1-4-1 or something like that, they'll go ahead and do a 4-3-3. But no matter what, they score goals. Period. Even when they lose, they score goals. They have attack, but also they foul a lot and they also draw a lot of fouls. I've been noticing a lot of the matches, them and their opponents, a lot of red cards, a lot of yellows. So they try to. I didn't really watch any of this. I was just looking at the analytics and stuff. Look, they're going to put up. They're going to be going for it. They're going to be trying to get under our skin. They're going to try to get under our players. And if they do. If we go for a 4-3-3, we could be in trouble because they do worse against a 4-2-3-1 than they do a 4-3-3. Teams that go up against them with a 4-3-3, no good.
Well, I mean, so I guess what do you know, Scott? You probably know more than I do. What do you know?
So I watched a couple of games today, and so what I watched back both the Basel matches.
Okay.
Or at least highlights of the Basel matches. And they for both the matches, they gave Basel play for the first 20 minutes. They kind of let Basel control it, and then they go into control the match mode, right?
Yeah.
So honestly, we have to put something on the board, and if they give us that 20 minutes, we need to get one or two in that 20 minutes. They do foul a lot. And a couple of things was like their center backs. If free kicks are taken quickly, their center backs are 9 times out of 10 fast asleep. Like they're often talking or communicating, and so if the ball goes into play, they're gone. I think Basel had 2 or 3 clear opportunities in the last match where they just played a free kick super fast, put the ball down and win. And I think we've got players that do that. I think we've got more players now that do that. Paqueta specifically will look for that. So I think, honestly though, it's not going to be a 1-0 match. They score goals in bunches, and so we're going to have to keep up, and that's the tricky part. Because honestly, they're primed to be countered. Because they possess the ball, they bring it into your end, they want to hold it. So when they lose it, that's when you want to go in and get them.
I mean, I think that's good in a way, though, because we tend to struggle against other counterattacking sides, right? I mean, we don't like that when they won't play our game and they're trying to counter, we're trying to counter, and it's a standoff. That's usually not good for us. If they come at us, if we can soak up that pressure, if Declan and the center back can soak up that pressure, I like our chances to score on the counter. I know it seems obvious to say, but I feel as though, given what you just said, Scott, I think it's imperative that we score first. We just have
absolutely.
to. And I don't always feel that way in every match, all right? Because this team has shown in the past the ability to go a goal down and come back. We did
We've
done
against
it in Europe.
Leeds, yeah.
Exactly. We did it against Leeds. We've done it in the Premier League.
We fucked off against Leicester.
Well, that was, let's face it, that was a training. That was a run out, a training run out. They didn't take that game seriously. No, they didn't take it seriously. I mean, besides, I got to be honest with you, I was really hoping Leicester would stay up and Everton would go down, so I wasn't all that upset about losing to Leicester. Unfortunately, Everton won, and they somehow managed to escape. But I didn't read anything into that Leicester game at all. Nothing. I don't even think it's worth talking about. Personally,
just real quick, want to say hi to Charlie and Charlie.
Yes.
And Mark, and Malk, I guess. Thank you guys for popping in.
Charlie, the Brooklyn Big Stepper, who's with us. Always good to see him. And the other Charlie, you can't tell them apart, really. They're exactly the same.
Yeah.
They're basically like the same person. Meanwhile, whose music is this? Who is this? What is going on here? What is going on here? He's from Sin City. From Sin City, it's John Black. How are you, John?
I'm good, fellas. It's been a minute. Nice to see you.
It's been months, is what it's been. We've been slacking big time, and we've had. I don't know what to tell you. On a personal level, like in my house, everybody is okay, but in my extended family, chaos. I could go on about it all night, but I won't. Chaos, and we've had to deal with a lot of that here. So my boys, my wife, my mom, me, we're fine. Everybody else in the family, nuclear. So that's one of the reasons why I have done so few shows.
We've just been trying to find someone to take the reins and also pop in and do other shows. It's been difficult, which is whatever. But hey, we're trying to light a spark in hopes that other people will step up and do some shows on this network.
We're not done. He's gone. He'll be back. We're not done. We'll get back. We'll get back. It's been a rough season. It was a rough season for West Ham.
Well, I said I wasn't coming back till Moyes got sacked, but I changed my mind. Once Lee, you said you were doing a show tonight, I'm like, fuck it, fine.
Well, you may not. I mean, at this rate, if we win tomorrow, you may not come back for a long time. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. So anyway, I mean, as far as Fiorentina goes, again, we've come back in Europe, we've come back in the Premier League. I think if we go down 1-0 to them, we're in a lot of trouble.
Yep.
And especially if it's early, I think we need to score first. And then, if we're able to get one, I do not want to see us close up shop completely. I understand. I understand we play on the. I get that we play on the counter, right? But
I think there's just too much on the line, and obviously Declan wants to go out on a fucking high.
Yeah. Whoops. Oh yeah, I think there we go. There we go.
Sorry about that. I couldn't really hear you on the laptop, so
that's all right. It's all right. Yeah. So we were just saying, John, Scott and Tim have done some homework on Fiorentina. I don't know much about Fiorentina at all. You have a take on Fiorentina, how they play?
I think as long as the ghost of Gabriel Batistuta doesn't come back to haunt us, I do.
Is he dead? Is he dead?
I know. It's really weird. A friend of mine, had this. I know he's not dead. Well, I hope not.
Okay.
Anyway, he was great. But a friend of mine, we used to watch the old Channel 4 back in the UK. Italian coverage. It was fantastic.
Right, it's
and
famous
he
show.
was at his height. And my mate, who's like, he's a non-league supporter. He doesn't really follow Premier League football or anything like that. He said, as long as Batistuta don't show up, you'll win. And I'm not one to get hopes up. I've been here before, 06, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But this feels a teeny bit different, to be honest with you. And there's a couple of schools of thought. I mean, Fiorentina, I think the Italian league is still very strong at the top level, like every European league. Mm-hmm. Below it, I think it drops off very, very sharply, the quality.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of kind of there's a lot of feeder teams out there, and I think Fiorentina are in that bracket. I mean, I personally think we have enough class, enough quality, and enough experience to get this over the line. Whether it's pretty or not is another thing, but I don't know.
Well, if European form means anything, and it may not, because we haven't played a match in a couple of weeks now anyway. We haven't played a European match in several weeks. Certainly, we've been a better team in Europe than Fiorentina have, and they kind of struggled to get to the final. Now, that doesn't matter once you get there. But if form means anything, I like our chances. It's just that with 90 minutes, one game, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, I kind of just I'm looking at it. I did actually watch Fiorentina's last game, and they were kind of. It was just very Italian. It seemed they were quite drilled, quite set up well, and they were a little bit dirty when they wanted to be.
Well, they said they were going to be dirty.
Yeah,
the manager evidently, and I don't know, did anybody verify this as an actual quote? The manager came out and said we're going to be kind of rough. I mean, so I don't know if he's just trying to get in our heads. I don't know what the point of saying that was.
I mean, again, if you look at the quantity of cards that they draw, but also that they give up, just in league and in European. They're dirty.
Well, I mean, is this a classic diving Italian team with all the arms flopping and the play acting? Is that is that what we're in for?
I mean, we got enough of that in our team. I mean, if they're going to come out,
I know you're right.
If they're going to come out and be rough, let it be on Paqueta and get 2 yellows in the first 10 minutes. That'd be beautiful. I'm trying to sort of
tactical fouls. That was the one he said. Yes,
tactical fouls. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of looked at, say, it's a totally different scenario, but in 2006, when we reached the final, Liverpool were the current European champions and a very, very good side. And we were heavily underdogged. And we went 2-0 up, and everyone couldn't believe it. And obviously, we lost. Everyone expected to lose. It obviously hurt, but it was the kind of outcome we all expected on the train down to Cardiff. This, on the other hand, we've been the form team throughout the tournament. This is a difference between this and 2006. Rice has played in some of the biggest games in the world for England.
That's true.
Susek and Safal have won trophies in their domestic league.
They're playing at home. That can't be bad.
Yep. Paqueta's a big game player.
Yeah.
Ogbonna played in the Champions League. Whether he starts or not is another thing. I mean, again, played
Zuma
World
did too.
Cup.
Zuma played in
totally
for Chelsea. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and you have our keeper Areola, who's been around the French team for a while.
There you go.
I know he's never been really a starter, but he's been in that French camp for a long time. Aguerd had a big run. I know he got injured, but he had a pretty deep World Cup run.
Yeah.
Oh, get out of here! You're not serious, are you? No, that's not true. That's not true. There's no way.
Is that a joke?
No, that's a joke.
He's
been suspended from big finals because
if there's an English team, they can't have an English.
No, it's not. No, it's a joke because that was Anthony Taylor was the ref for the Europa League final when Mourinho chased him off the pitch and the Roma supporters went and attacked him, which is not the right thing to do. However, UEFA did come out after that and say, he really was a terrible ref, and he's not going to ref any more big matches for a while. So, but we do that.
To be fair, if you have a game that bad, you shouldn't be flying back public. You shouldn't be walking through the airport during the middle of the day.
Well, you guys know with NFL refs, they travel. I mean, they're basically under the radar when they travel. You don't know who's going to be in which city until the day of the game. They're very well protected, believe it or not. And I would think that a football ref, UEFA, FIFA football ref would be the same way, but I guess not. There he was just at the airport. I mean,
didn't we have a fuckhead in the Europa League? There was some Spanish guy. There was a Spanish referee that totally fucked up our game and gave Cresswell the red card or something like that.
Yeah. Cresswell got a red against Frankfurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it was, I don't know how justified it was. I don't think it was totally unjustified, but.
Rice got in trouble for suggesting he was on the take.
Yeah, that's right. That's when Declan got a suspension because he basically went up to the guy and he said, "You're corrupt." This is interesting. I did not know this. I imagine he hasn't played for us that much in Europe, but I guess if you played at all, then you get a medal. Craig Dawson would get a medal apparently if we win.
Yeah.
This John, going back to what you were saying, this feels, and I hate to be optimistic in any way when it comes to West Ham. This feels like an opportunity for us because the core of this team got so close last season. And the core of this team will be starting tomorrow night, right? I mean, you're talking about Declan and Antonio and Souček and Sufal, and I don't know if Sufal will be there, but in all likelihood,
And Bowen should, yeah.
Right, the core group, even Areola, Bowen, Ben Rama, Fornals, all of them. The core will be there. Will be 9 players of the starting 11. Will be out there. Then you put in like a Paqueta or somebody like that who's new, or came in after the Europa League run. They got so close that it feels as though they're coming back to finish it. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, I feel as though, and I know we had some bad games in the latter part of the season. I know Newcastle thrashed us. I remember Newcastle. But you know what?
Or most of the
season? We also had some good. We also got better. The 4-0 against Bournemouth away. Beating Manchester United, that was a gigantic victory over Manchester. That saved us, because without that, I don't know that we'd be where we are now.
The only consistency has been in the Farmers League. I mean, that's it.
The only consistency is exactly. But even the second half of the Premier League season wasn't great, but it was better. And I feel as though you guys like Paqueta are better players. Go back to the fall. Go back to when people were watching the World Cup and saying, why can't Paqueta play the way for us that he does for Brazil? Go back and read the tweets. People didn't like him. Fans didn't like him. They weren't impressed with him. They wanted Flynn Downs out there. That's what I'm saying. Go back and look at even some of the Areola got some flack even early on from some of his performances in Europe, where we still won, but he gave up goals that maybe fans thought he shouldn't have given up. I mean, some of these guys have settled into their roles. Some have gotten healthy. Aguerd every now and then makes a boneheaded mistake, but generally is solid now that he's healthy. Zuma's healthy. Cresswell has had another, I believe, very solid season, in my opinion. I know you don't like him, Scott, but I think he's been okay. So I feel as though this team has come together pretty effectively in the last few months, with the exception of a couple of games where they either didn't care, like Leicester in the last game of the season, or they were grossly outclassed like Newcastle, but Newcastle would have beaten anybody almost in the world at that time when they were on a tear. Other than that, we did what we had to do, and certainly in Europe our form was very good. So I don't know what you guys think about that. I mean, this feels like a different team from the one I watched in November, but prior to the World Cup, lose to Everton and thinking we have to gut this thing, we have to blow this thing up and start over again.
So my opinion of the season is that, okay, we started off with we were all in on Scamacca, and you're never going to know what you're going to get with a foreign striker. One thing to do, you got to give the guy time. He didn't get it.
Well, and he was injured.
Yeah. So Paqueta, on the other hand, a Brazilian they're hit and miss in the Premier League. 1 minute it's great, 1 minute it's not. You have to give him time. Aguerd got injured. We got shafted. We were shafted at least for at least 9 points by VAR in the first 2 months.
Well, we got one taken away against Chelsea. I know that for sure.
Forest was another one, and I forget.
Forest was another one. Liverpool was another one.
Yeah.
We should have had 3 instead of 1. I mean, in all likelihood, if we'd have converted the penalty, we'd have had 3 instead of 1.
It was not. That's 9 points off the top of the head. Now, to me, all right, it wasn't the season before, but on the flip side of it, you can blame stuff. I mean, this is my problem with VAR. It's supposed to even the decisions out. We seem to get shafted more than we ever did before.
Well, we always have, by the way. We did before VAR, and now with VAR. It's the same way. It's the same thing. There was a table that, John, you probably saw, that came out and showed that the club that has lost the most points to VAR, West Ham.
Oh yeah,
bottom of the table.
The minute they brought it in, I'm like, this is just going to be an extra shafting machine for us.
Of course.
If you take those 3 games, into consideration, and you put 9 points onto our points total. I mean, all of it is hypothetical, obviously, because everyone plays under the same rules and the same circumstances.
Right.
But then we went out of both cups and we basically were all in on Europe. We put a pretty big bet in on Scamacca that hasn't paid off yet.
Nope.
And
Nope.
Paqueta has just started to pay off. And I think he needed the World Cup to kind of figure himself out a little bit. But it's obvious every time I see one of our players not doing well for us, then they have a stupendous game for their country. It is us, not them.
Yeah.
So in terms of Paqueta, it was definitely us. I don't think Moyes knew what to do with him.
Yeah. He did.
And everyone's got an opinion. This is a problem with West Ham supporters. We're all YouTube experts. Like the minute we're linked to a player, it's like, oh, I've watched
Twitter managers. They're Twitter managers too.
I've watched 60 seconds of YouTube footage on this guy, and he's going to be the greatest player of all time.
Everybody. You'd think we're all scouts, right? Because everybody says, "Oh, I want this player."
I have never. No, not me.
But the problem is that I think it's kind of like we tried to hodgepodge these guys in.
Right.
Zuma was in and out. Agard he needed to get fit again and bring himself back. Then he had the World Cup. I just don't. If we had any kind of remnants of the latter part of the season, at the start of the season, I think it was a totally different season. However, winning is the greatest. Winning a trophy is the best deodorant of all time. And I just think even if we were relegated and we won tomorrow night, I would see this as just to give you an example. My mum was 3 months pregnant with me the last time we was in a major European final, and I'm 46 years old. The 80 Cup final is one of my earliest childhood memories.
I'm 49, John, and I did not obviously grow up with West Ham, and I don't remember 1980. At least not having watched it live. Obviously, that wasn't possible in those days. So West Ham have never won a trophy in my living memory, and that's a long time. I'm with you. I mean, now that we're here, I'm obviously glad we're staying up, but I think I would have taken a trophy in relegation, in all honesty, over staying up and not winning it. It's just at some point you just want to celebrate something other than survival,
it just feels a little bit different. I mean, like everyone going to Prague. I mean, there's no way on earth I've ever gone to Prague without a ticket, but fair play to those who have. And there doesn't seem to be, because when it was 2006, the general vibe of everything, especially the two playoff finals, was don't let us down. Yeah. And there was the atmosphere and how can I put it, the frequency that the fan base was given out, because West Ham is a fan base that does not know how to win. Yeah. The minute it's not going our way, the stadium goes quiet. There's unrest, all the rest of it. It's the difference between United. It's how City took so long to win everything. They're not a fan base that knows how to win. They are now, but we're not that. And it's whether it goes our way tomorrow night or not. I think everyone's this is a bonus. It's something a vast majority of the fan base have never seen in their lifetimes. And
no, you're absolutely right. Well,
and I think it's different.
43 years since we've won a major trophy, and that's a long time for anybody. I mean,
oh God, yeah,
you got to be pushing 50 to remember that, and 50. I hope 50 is not old because I turned 50 in December myself, but it's not. You can't be a kid. You can be very much a full-grown adult with a family and not have any memory of West Ham winning a trophy. It's just a long time. Scott, tell me what's your impression been of West Ham? Let's say, I feel as though there was a real break. It wasn't right after the World Cup. It was maybe sometime in February, March. Things started to slowly turn around a little bit. Then we got that home draw against Arsenal when they were trying to win the league, and that was a huge result. We beat Manchester United. We went to Bournemouth for what was a 6-pointer at the time. We won 4-0. I felt as though we were starting to re-find a little tiny bit of that form from the beginning of last season. Did you see any of that at all?
Yeah, I think right around Arsenal, I think that's when our Europe run was really, we were in the heart of that, right? And so we were getting results outside of the league and kind of proving to, if nothing else, proving to ourselves that we could win.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so once we took the title out of Arsenal's hand, right?
Yes.
And
which
then
was awesome.
we go to Man United. We're taking confidence. We're going to Man United. You get a little more confident. You go to Bournemouth. You take the 6-pointer, and now you're like, oh my goodness, we can play this game again. I think that a lot of it has to do, and I mean, knowing tournament style play, right? I think that tournament's often easier than the league because you can come out with a draw in the league, you can lose you're going to lose a couple matches in the league, that. So, but tournament play is, when you get to that point where you lose and you're out, everything goes under a microscope. And I can still disagree with Moyes about what he does. I can disagree with formations. I can disagree with all those things.
Yeah.
But he does get the best out of our squad in tournament setup. He has.
He really does.
We had one, 5th round of the cup this year.
Yeah.
So
clearly to me the domestic cups this season we didn't care, and now that we're in a European final, that's fine. It's really fine.
Yeah.
If you look at the European run last season, to me there were two moments that really sank us. The first one was conceding in the first minute of the home leg against Frankfurt. I still say that we were dead after that. Obviously, the second was the Cresswell red card. I mean, stupid, yes. Unfortunate, yes. Maybe unjustified, who knows? Those were two moments that kept us out of a final that I, thought we probably had a chance to win. This season we've avoided stuff like that. Everybody saw Cresswell in the starting 11 for the second leg of the semifinal against AZ and said, "Oh no." But I thought, no, that guy's not good. He's not going to do that. He's been good for us, and he's a professional.
You're the only one that thought that.
No, I love Aaron Cresswell. The shirt that I bought last season with the Argentina away shirt, it's an Aaron Cresswell with the Europa League patches and everything. So anyway, I bought it before the semifinal, obviously, but even so, it feels as though we've started to put things together. Yes, I know Newcastle thrashed us. We kind of conceded the matches to Brentford and Leicester because it was pretty clear that we were, saving ourselves for Europe and we were not going to go down. But in the clutch, in the last few weeks, last couple of months of the season, when we needed to win in the clutch, we won or we got a result. And I said a while ago on Twitter that every time the owners come out and say David Moyes is managing for his job, he wins. So
fucking he does. God damn it.
He does. And I saw a tweet the other day, and I don't know if this is true or not. There's all kinds of bullshit that spreads around on Twitter, and the British press is unreliable. Sorry, but it's true.
You gotta make a T-shirt that says that and put it in the shop.
You know how I feel about that.
You've been quoting that since day one, man.
I've been saying that for 4 years now. It's still true. It's still true. They make things up. They don't verify things. They just it's for clicks and for sales at the newsstand. Yeah. But anyway, I saw a tweet the other day that's from some would-be so-called journalist that said, well, if Moyes loses in Prague, he'll the board are going to sack him.
Bullshit.
No, I don't think. No, but you know what? I hope they told him that, because every time they tell him that, he goes out and wins. So all they have to do every match day is say, "You're managing for your job, Dave. We'll never lose again.
I'll be right back.
We'll be invincible." Oh, John, you're on mute.
You got more chance of the King Charles getting fired than David Moyes. And this is a thing. I mean, I'm looking at Tottenham right now. I mean, some Australian dude no one's ever heard of is from Celtic. That's the managerial market right now, other than Palace had to go back to Roy Hodgson. It's crazy.
I'll make a prediction right now. This guy, Postecoglou, whatever his name is, right? He will fail at Tottenham. And it's not just because it's Tottenham, and everybody fails at Tottenham, including Mourinho. I could manage Celtic. You could manage Celtic. Scott could manage Celtic. At least to a second-place finish, all right? Maybe Wood wouldn't beat Rangers. I don't know, but any human being on the face of the earth could manage Celtic at a minimum to a second place finish. And if Rangers bottle it, then you could manage them to a title because there's nobody
Yep.
else in Scotland. I'm sorry, there's nobody else in
Sure.
Scotland. Everybody
They-
hires these Celtic managers. Oh, Brendan Rodgers, he won with Celtic. Everybody wins with Celtic. Okay, don't. I've kept this comment for a really long time. Everybody wins with Celtic. Don't get enamored with he was great at Celtic. If you can fog a mirror, you can win at Celtic. Anyway, Cameron, how are you?
How we doing?
Well, we're okay. We're okay. We're trying to figure out what's going to happen tomorrow, and talking about whether you think this West Ham team that's gonna take the pitch tomorrow night is a different one from the one that we had even a few months ago. If I feel as though there has been a real turnaround in our form. I don't know, even the months of April and May, if you don't count a couple of games we just sort of sacrificed, like Brentford and Leicester there at the end, where we didn't really need to put out a full strength team. I feel as though this is a better West Ham team than what we had sort of in the fall and winter. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I totally agree. I think the real trick of it is, and the real question to ask is, who starts between Souček and Fornals? Because you can go with a very attacking lineup and start Fornals over Souček because he's very clearly in form and has been just A, banging in goals for us, and B, he's so absolutely passionate about the club.
There is zero chance Souček doesn't start this game in Prague.
Yeah,
I'm starting 4-0 over Ben Rama.
It's going to be the safe bet, and I think that's what's going to happen.
I think the question is Fornals versus Ben Rama.
That's what I think the question is.
Souček 1,000,000% starts this game. He's David Moyes' favorite player. I think Tufal starts as well. I don't think we'll see Kerr, even though Kerr's gotten a lot better. I think we'll see Tufal and Cresswell with probably Aguerd and Zuma in the middle. The question is, out on the left, are you putting in Bowen or Fornals? Sorry, not Bowen. Ben Rama or Fornals. Fornals is not a left winger.
Fornals is absolutely wasted on the left.
Of course he is.
That guy is a center mid, center attacking mid, somewhere in between the two.
But he doesn't get forward in the center.
Fair enough.
To be fair, when do our center mids get forward? They don't. The only opportunity for him to attack would be on the wing or at striker. We're not putting him at striker. So that's the only opportunity he's going to have to get in the offensive third.
I really think we'll see. And Fornals has been in great form, and I'm a huge fan of Fornals. He is a square peg in a round hole in this team, though, in a way, because he's a 10, and we don't really play it. It's like Lanzini. We don't really play a 10. Do you know what I mean? Because we really only have 3 up front. We have two on the wing, and then we play the one striker. Because we have the sort of the packed kind of defensive midfield with Souček, Paqueta, and Declan. And Fornals, he doesn't have a place. I love him. I've always loved him. But I would actually start Ben Rama. At least start him. We get 5 subs. I would start Ben Rama.
My problem with starting Ben Rama is if we get late and we go to and Moyes does his standard Moyes, which is at the 73rd minute, he puts Fornals on for Ben Rama, and we go into PKs. One of our best PK shooters is now sitting on the bench.
Yeah,
that's absolutely a valid point. And so at that point, you have to say to yourself, if Ben Rama starts,
let's not get there. Let's.
Well, I was going to say that I wouldn't be alive to see that anyway, because I would have died by then. I've died of a heart attack or something by then. So you guys could talk about.
I'd rather lose. Yeah, like
if Ben Rama, you do have to think about that though, Scott. If Ben Rama starts, does he have to play all 90 minutes in case he gets PK?
Yeah, I mean, essentially,
in
you've
case
got
he gets
to play
PK,
120.
Right. Well, you're absolutely right. 120. Yes, obviously, yeah. Extra time and all, which is a lot to ask for anybody,
Yeah.
But he is our best penalty taker. Oh God. The nightmare scenario for me is Declan Rice stepping up and having to make a penalty to keep us in the shootout, because he's a terrible penalty taker.
Oh no, that's why he should go first. Honestly,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Declan
He
Rice's
needs to go first.
his last gesture at West Ham being the
He'll
missed
clear the pressure
penalty.
off.
Yeah, that's
The-
heartbreaking. I mean, I
David
think,
Trezeguet, or it wasn't Trezeguet.
yeah,
Who was it? Who missed the penalty for France? I can't remember who it was against the Italians years ago in the World Cup. I can't remember who it was. Anyway, the Stuart Pearce, or just that role where, and it'd be like his last ever kick for West Ham would be the missed penalty that loses the cup final.
it'll take 40 million off his value as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, it would. It would. It would.
I
It would
just assume
honestly,
he
it would
not
honestly
shoot.
it would be a gigantic disaster for us. It really
Well,
would.
aside from Benrahma and Lanzini, they're all terrible penalty takers.
That's
So
true.
I know.
whoever steps up, I'm banking to. I mean,
I hate the way that Paqueta takes penalties,
yeah,
but it
it's
works.
pretty,
works.
then it doesn't, and that's the thing. And then all of a sudden you got this sort of unicycle approach to the penalty run up, and if it doesn't go right, you just look like a moron. And
He's a disaster waiting to happen on pens. He reminds me of Zaza with the little
Yeah.
tippy tappy steps.
oh god, yeah, I
Yeah, no, I don't like it. I if it works, it works. I don't. But yeah, we don't have good penalty takers.
I mean, if it gets to penalties, the one thing if I was Moyes, I'd be having Ariola out and Fabianski in.
I was just going to ask that of everybody here. If you get to penalties, do you sub? Do you save a sub? You save your fifth sub so that you can get Fabianski in for penalties.
You always save your fifth sub for a goalkeeper.
Always.
Well, I guess you have to.
Always save it.
Yeah, I guess you have to. But do you make the change? Let's put it that way.
Yes.
I would.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to get there. I honestly don't. I think I think it's. I don't think even. I think this is a 90-minute game. I think we've got enough to do it. I think it will be ugly for 20 minutes, and then Paqueta will start to find space, and then as long as Antonio's in beast mode, I think we'll just be fine. I really do.
I think Antonio is the. I think he is probably the player, and he's our leading scorer in Europe this season. We've seen this throughout European competition.
Nobody knows how to deal with him.
Exactly, Cameron. They don't know how to deal with him. They can't deal with him. They don't have players like that.
There's nobody like him, which is also
there's nobody like him.
Problem with trying to find
certainly in Italy, there's no one like him.
We're trying to find an Antonio, and
right.
that doesn't actually exist because he's, for better or worse, one of a kind.
Yeah.
You bet.
Yeah.
He's a unicorn. He's
a unicorn.
He's a unicorn.
He is, I know.
He has massive flaws. He's not a good finisher. We know that. He sometimes does boneheaded things. We know that. But you know what? First of all, he's been a fantastic servant to us. Secondly, in Europe, they don't know what to do with him. They can't deal with him.
I love nothing more than to watch defenders bounce off of him.
Exactly.
When defenders bounce off of him, that makes me so happy on the inside because you just scream weight room and let it go.
He's Christian Okoye. You guys remember Christian Okoye was the Chiefs running back in the 80s in his first couple of years. Nobody could tackle him. They'd never seen anything like him before. He was a bowling ball. Like Earl Campbell. Earl Campbell in the 70s. It was the same way. He was a bowling ball. You couldn't stop him.
It's like Marshawn Lynch or something.
It's like Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
Exactly. Same idea. Unstoppable. Downhill runners, as they say. Antonio's the same way. Antonio gets on a run. They don't know what to do. Big dude like that coming at him, big muscular, strong, fast guy. They have no idea what to do. And he draws defenders. He draws 2 or 3 defenders because they're like, we can't let this guy get into space. Leave space for Bowen, leave space for Benrahma. I think Antonio is our secret weapon, not so secret weapon.
He's a terrible, terrible finisher.
I know. That's you know what, Cameron. If he were a great finisher,
like somebody like Aguero or something like that.
If he were a great finisher, he'd be a $100 million player.
Period.
If he were a great finisher, he'd be a $100 million player. He'd be at City.
He'd be playing anywhere but West Ham if he were a great finisher.
Exactly. No, Cameron, you're absolutely right. But Antonio is a great finisher. He goes to Madrid, he goes to Man City, he goes wherever he wants. He said he could score 30 goals at Man City. That's not true because he can't score 30 goals anywhere because he can't finish.
Well, it's our leading Premier League scorer, so he can't be that bad. I think he's
I mean, like,
and
I love him. I do love him.
Is that the role that he plays best for us is chaos agent.
Yes.
Yes, totally.
Where he sows chaos into defenses because
Especially in
they
Europe.
don't know how to deal with them. And either he kind of flukes it into the goal or it goes to somebody else and they score a wide open goal. And so, like, that is his role, is chaos agent.
He gets you get him the ball at midfield and a couple of feet of space, and he terrifies these European defenses. Now in the Premier League, they just come up and tackle him. They'll just come up and challenge him because Premier League is a rougher, more physical league, a faster league. These European sides, they don't know what to do. I've never seen a guy like that. And I do love him, and listen, I only criticize him because he is not perfect, but I've always been a huge fan of Mikel Antonio, and I don't care that he said what he said about Skamaka. I'm sure you guys heard his comments. First of all, he told the truth. Secondly, Skamaka's not playing tomorrow. He's injured. We don't know what's going to happen with him. I mean, the guy is irrelevant right now. And all Antonio did was say he doesn't fit into the system, and he doesn't. He didn't say Skamaka was a bad player. He was a good player who doesn't fit into our system.
Correct.
And he doesn't fit into David Moyes' system. That's just true. I think he was trying to pay Skamaka a compliment by saying he's better than he has looked for us. Do you know what I mean? It's not a match of style.
So I think the whole Skamaka thing is a bit of a.
Didn't look bad for us
I didn't think it was bad either. No, I didn't think it was bad at all.
I think it was 3 goals in Europe, 3 goals in the Premier League. Like,
I mean, he did not have a particularly good Premier League season. We have not had a good Premier League season, or did not have, in terms of scoring goals. Our defense.
We haven't since we've returned to the Premier League. So that was the thing I was going to mention to John, was that he said that you mentioned that Mikel Antonio was like our he is our leading scorer. But again, I mean, team
like 50 goals.
like we haven't. I mean, we're never near the top like total since we returned to the Premier League either. Like we don't generally we're not up there in the table of like teams that team goals scored and shit. So that doesn't.
Really. And also, aside from Arnautovic, in the last 10 years, let's say, certainly since we moved to the Olympic Stadium, which is 7 years now, Antonio's been really the only striking option. Apart from very bad Zaza, Jonathan Caleri, do you remember that dude? Carroll. I mean, again, if Carroll was fit every week, there's no way on earth he's playing for West Ham. So
exactly. I love him too, but he was always injured.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but the thing is with Antonio, tomorrow, this is how I'm going to see tomorrow night's game going. This is just my thought. Is I think Fiorentina are going to play quite deep, like most Italian teams do. It's going to be a bit of a chess match for the first 15 minutes. They'll try and rough up Rice, certainly. They'll try and rough up Paqueta, Benrahma if he plays. And then I personally think what will happen is both teams will run out of ideas in plan A. Rice and Paqueta will start to control the game and will nick a goal just before half time. Mm-hmm. And I think there's going to be some scrap that Antonio feels. I think it's going to be 2-0 to us. Antonio just before half time, and then like a Fornals or a Susek around 80 minutes.
I think there's no way they don't score, John.
So I
think Fiorentina will score in my opinion.
Let's go around and make predictions then. I mean, John already made his prediction, so Lee, let's
start
with you and go around.
Well, I don't like to pick us to win for superstitious reasons, but to be honest, I think we win this one 2-1, and I'm hoping it's because we score the first 2, and they pull one back because we're sitting back too much, which is what we usually do when we get a lead. I do not want to see this thing go more. I feel as though if we go into extra time, we lose. I feel as though if we go to penalties, we absolutely lose. I'm sorry. We don't have penalty takers. Yeah. We're not going to have our penalty stopping keeper in. We'd have to substitute him in. It's a risky thing. We've got to win this in 90 minutes. I say 2-1 in 90 minutes and, get us out of there.
Cool. Scott.
Yeah, I'm 2-1. I like what John's saying. I think we get one into the first half. We sneak one in on a counter and we get one, but I'm sure they pull one back easy. They're free flowing. And if they're on target, I mean, on the other hand, though, they don't see defenders like we have either.
No,
You
they
know,
don't.
big, strong guys that'll shoulder to shoulder you off the ball and off the pitch. You know, so
Everybody in the chat room, please put your predictions. We'll pull them up too. Okay, Cameron.
I'm gonna go 3-2 us. As I said in the chat, 45 plus 3 Suchek header from a fluke corner.
I would love that.
Set piece is a good call.
I think Sufal scores his first goal for us in front of his countrymen and absolutely fucking makes the crowd go wild. They get one after that, and then Pablo Fornals on a breakaway does something miraculous again.
Yeah, I mean, I love the set piece.
I do too.
I think, yeah.
I like the distance, the goal difference that John was saying. I mean, but I also do understand that no matter which goalkeeper we have, we leak goals, at least one from everybody. We don't keep clean sheets. I mean, it's rare, and especially against a team who all they do is score goals.
I agree.
Every match that they do, I was looking at the list. I think there was 1-0 loss that they had in like the last fucking 13 matches.
Yeah.
But you know, they always score. So I don't know. I think it would be 3-1. I'll say 3-1. West Ham.
Fiorentina, they don't keep clean sheets either. And that's kind of encouraging.
I have a feeling that there's going to be too much, and we're just too into it, and our players just, you know, it's going to be Declan's last game for us, and they're, you know, I feel that we're just too fucking good for Fiorentina. Period. I mean, on any given day, it doesn't matter what fucking competition it is. If we played Fiorentina, they're like a fucking, you know, Leeds. You know what I'm saying? They score.
I agree. That's how I would suggest. Yeah, that's how I would sum it up.
I mean, you know, that's kind of how I have felt. I get final nerves. But if you think of it, if you try to look at it, you know, objectively, we should have a better player at almost every spot on the pitch, basically.
Yes.
With maybe the exception of they have a great midfielder. I don't remember the guy's name. But honestly, you know, Serie A, as you said, top-loaded league, even more than the Premier League. Although you got to say this for Serie A, there's two thoughts I've had. One, they put a club in each of the 3 European finals. They had Inter, Roma, and Fiorentina.
Mm-hmm.
However, Roma lost on penalties. City will put 5 past Inter. I guarantee it. Unless they don't turn up, that's City. They might as well be going out and playing Southampton.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah. Or like Scunthorpe. I mean, I just don't think that's going to be close.
Scunthorpe's in fucking National League South, dude.
Well, whatever. You know, somebody loves
like the fucking 8th division.
Yeah, but so if Fiorentina, if we beat Fiorentina, it looks like not so much. It doesn't look like it's as big an accomplishment. Mm-hmm. The other thought I have on the Italians is maybe this is stupid, but you know, I don't know how many Italian internationals play for Fiorentina, if any. I have no idea. There have to be some at Milan. There have to be some at Inter and Roma. They didn't go to the World Cup. They missed it, and they didn't have any pressure leading up to it. They sat, kicked it for 2 months in the winter, and I feel as though Serie A may be a little artificially strong because some of those guys got a rest, whereas a lot of their counterparts in other countries didn't. I know we only sent one player to England, but we sent a bunch to other. Agard was there and Paqueta was there, and so I feel as though that this is a little bit of a false accomplishment for Serie A because they, certainly some of those players got a couple of months of rest, but. I mean, Charlie Boy said up earlier they're going to play a high line. I mean, this is the thing that encourages me the most. I feel as though their style plays right into how we want to play. Mm-hmm. If they were a counter-attacking side, I would worry because we always struggle when it's counter versus counter. But hopefully, they'll come at us and we'll be able to soak up that pressure. And when we do, we'll spring Antonio, or we'll spring Bowen, or we'll spring somebody like that on a counter and be able to score a couple of times. It feels, and the other thought I have, which we talked about earlier, Cameron and John, is, we were in a European semifinal last season, and there were just a couple of incidents that kept us out of a final that I thought was winnable, very winnable.
Yeah, very winnable.
They haven't happened this season. We've made the final. I think this team is again, this is all kind of squishy emotional stuff, but I think this team wants to finish something.
Exactly. That's why I'm not emotional about it. I mean, I'm not. How do I put it? I just feel that it's going to happen. I mean, it's got to happen for many reasons. I don't see how Fiorentina would actually go out there and win unless fucking Declan Rice got mobbed before his way to the fucking game, and
I mean,
he got injured or he rolled his ankle.
I don't think we'll have.
I mean,
what I'm saying exactly, and I don't think we'll have stage fright either. Do you know what I mean?
No,
because this is not our first run in Europe. We've knocked Sevilla and Lyon out last season, and went in and had a very competitive fixture against Frankfurt, which basically turned on two events.
Well, Sevilla won it just now, so that confirms.
Yeah,
I mean that if you look back at really Paqueta and Aguerd is the only really two variables in that side. Right. That's a pretty good result looking back, knocking out Sevilla and especially Lyon because we bought their best player. But I don't know. I just think it's mind-boggling to me that if you look at the history of West Ham, Ron Greenwood, John Lyall, and possibly now David Moyes. And David Moyes is kind of like...
You would have to give him credit. You would.
And this is the thing. I mean, you have to say, Alan Pardew was a Steven Gerrard wonder goal from delivering the FA Cup. You'd have Pardew in there as well.
A mediocre manager at very best, let's be honest.
But you never know what will pull out. And if Moyes does it, in my opinion, Moyes goes down with Lyall and Greenwood, just because he's saved us from relegation twice. He's at stupendous runs in Europe. And if we actually lift a trophy, there's no question that guy needs a statue outside the stadium.
Well, okay, let me ask you guys this, all right?
It's just a fact, though. That's the thing. You can't get away from it. Like,
if West Ham loses tomorrow for any fucking reason whatsoever, I guarantee, it's going to be some stupid fucking decision that he made, some stupid substitution, some stupid.
Or we get shafted by the ref or whatever else. I don't think it will happen. I think we've got too much for it.
It won't.
Yeah.
I don't. It won't. It won't happen. But I'm just saying.
Okay, so in your mind, let's for the sake of discussion, all right. Let's say we win this match tomorrow. West Ham win tomorrow. Does David Moyes come back for you? And I don't mean will they bring him back. I mean, do you want him back?
Like John
wholeheartedly. There's a very short list of managers in world football that can work with David Sullivan, and the list has got David Moyes' name on it. That's it. And to be honest with you, you've got to figure out who will work with Sullivan. Allardyce did it for a minute and did very well.
Mm-hmm.
And
he did do well.
Then Pellegrini, with all his pedigree, came in. It was a disaster.
Yeah.
Bilic was a disaster, aside from the last season at Upton Park. But when it really mattered, it was a disaster.
Yeah. When he didn't have Payet,
Yeah, there you have it. It was a one-trick pony with no backup plan. But Moyes, on the other hand, he's kept it going twice now, but we do have a one-striker system. And Scamacca is not an Arnautovic. He is not Antonio.
And neither is Danny Ings.
Ings was the wrong guy. Oh, he scored a couple of tap-ins and all that business, but Ings, no.
Yeah, but there's I don't understand if Moyes has any input into what we're doing with transfers. What the fuck? You don't bring in two strikers that don't fit your system.
I don't think he wanted them. I don't know how much input he has, Scott. That's a really good question.
But if he had input on Paqueta, 10 out of 10.
Absolutely. He won that one.
There you go. So you can't have it both ways. But
wait. 10 out of 10 for the last couple of months.
Once he settled into play, once he, you got to understand your teammates. All of that. I get the process where you have to adjust to a different league. Fine. But you also have to adjust to different players. I mean, you bring in somebody that hasn't played with the squad, and a squad that, to be fair, wasn't really used to having a creative player in there, right?
Simon Carlos Tevez signed. When Tevez signed in 2006, he was basically, it was 06-07 season.
Yeah.
He was head and shoulders above everybody else. Couldn't speak a bean of English, and also his striking partner was Bobby Zamora, whose feet couldn't do what the brain wanted it to.
Right.
And it took Tevez a little bit of a minute to figure out, then off he went. And it's the same with Paqueta. I mean, but next season, Paqueta comes back. I mean, I think next season's a different season. If we do pursue Scamacca, then great. I honestly don't think we can run Antonio into the ground for much longer.
No.
And I do think the young lad, I forget his name now, is basically another Antonio, big battering ram. And I would have liked to have seen him play in the last couple.
Mubama?
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen. I would have liked to have seen him at least starting against Leicester, and all the rest of it. But on the other side of it, kid's too young. Don't ruin him. Don't get everybody's hopes up. He's an Jeff Hurst or Dean Ashton or fill in the bank great player that we've had.
Yeah. Right.
So I don't know. I mean, tomorrow night, who knows? I mean, I think we're going to go down the strip. Me and Scott, we're going to sit there and watch it. I have no hopes up whatsoever. I'm just in the bracket of I'm enjoying something I have never seen before.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I'm just going to try to enjoy it. I remember when I went to the Rose Bowl with TCU, and I said to myself, just have fun. And we won, which was great. But I remember saying to myself before the game, have fun. Don't forget to have fun. You know what I mean?
Hey Lee, by the way, I just forgot.
Yes.
You guys advanced in the College World Series.
So people tell me, yes, I don't really watch college baseball, but I heard that they went to the Super Regional, which is great. Very exciting. Hope they win.
So did UVA.
Oh, excellent. Good deal. I have to admit, I'm not a big college baseball guy, but yes, I did see on the message board that they advanced, which is great. I'm very proud of them.
What time are you flying in, Scott?
What's that?
What time's your flight?
I land 11:15, and so I catch the car. I'll get a car and be there by noon. That's my hopes. I got the boarding pass, so I got the boarding pass, so I can get in and get a spot so I can get out.
Text me when you touch down. If I'm going through the airport at that time, I'll pick you up.
All right, sounds great. I will. Yeah, I'm supposed to land 11:15.
So I would say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, as far as Moyes goes, when we lost to Everton way back before the World Cup, terrible performance, absolutely abysmal. Back in I think it was October. I came on. I said on Twitter, he's got to go. And the reason I said he had to go was because I thought he was taking us down. I thought we were going down the way we would have under Bilic, the way we were under Pellegrini. The one caveat for me for the whole time was who replaces him. There was never a realistic replacement. People said, "Oh, get Pellegrini, not Pellegrini, get Pochettino, get Tickle, whatever his name is."
Yeah.
Those guys aren't coming to West Ham. I mean, come on.
Never coming under Sullivan ever. I mean,
never. And the whole reason, I mean, philosophically, I was Moyes out because I thought he's taking us down. Practically, it was harder to be Moyes out because there's nobody to replace him. Now you have to give the guy credit. You really do. He kept us up relatively comfortably. We're in a European final after making. These are some of the best seasons West Ham have ever had in the history of the club.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one thing I would say about Moyes, I mean, the weird thing about it was, the one thing I do agree with David Sullivan is, if I was to sack David Moyes, I'd replace him with David Moyes. And I was like, yeah, that is a good point, because you're going down the route. Palace had to go back to Roy Hodgson,
who's not a permanent. He won't. I mean, kept him up, but he's not a.
It's basically a feel good thing. I mean, dude's 76, I think.
Not a long term answer. Yeah.
Allardyce as well. I mean, a lot younger than Roy Hodgson, but again, old and all the rest of it. Not to be ageist or anything else, but I just thought from around the World Cup time, there's too much shit in the league.
Yes.
For us to go down. And I've thought this before, and we have gone down. We've been unlucky under Glenn Roeder and all the rest of it all those years ago, 42 points. But I kind of I never ever thought for 1 minute we would be going down. And it just needed a couple of wins. Once we beat Bournemouth away, that was it. We were good.
No, I panicked, John. I will admit that I panicked. But again, the only thing the question I could never answer was who replaces him. Nobody can answer that question. Nobody.
I mean,
and
if
and
you
that's
look
why
at
he's still here. I think that's why he's still here. Nobody else can come in. I wanted to, if you'll indulge me a little bit. I don't know if this is working or not. There it is. So this is my tweet. All right, and I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying I did a little research. Because I was curious. Let me see if I make it a little bigger, easier to read. So these are the finishes from West Ham's trophy-winning seasons. 14th in the FA Cup season in '64, 9th in the Cup Winners' Cup in '65, 13th FA Cup '75, 7th in the second division in 1980. In other words, not really close to promotion. There's a club like West Ham. We don't finish in the top 6 and win a trophy. That just doesn't happen. So, the fact that we are where we are, I don't really care that we finished 14th. I just care we finished above, 18th. The league form, if you look at this historically, our league form in the very few seasons in our history we've won trophies, only 4. League form has never been good that same season. Only time it was even decent was in the mid 1960s when you had Moore, Hurst, and Peters. And even then, the season before when they won the FA Cup, they finished, sort of not. That's kind of mid-table, except there were 22 teams in the top division back then, or 24. But it's never been good. So I'm not panicked about our league form. I was panicked when I thought. I gotta figure out how to get this thing off the screen now. There we go. I was panicked when I thought we might go down in the fall around World Cup time. But again, there was never anybody to replace Moyes. It has to be Moyes because who else would it be? I am not. I don't. He's struggled with a lot of things, but again, we're not. We're not Newcastle. We're not Liverpool, Man City. We don't have that kind of money, that kind of profile, and we have one of the most odious little owners in all of sports.
He's a turd. I mean, the best thing,
horrible.
the best thing, in my opinion, and this I'm going to really contradict your opinion about David Sullivan, right? I think that he has sorted his shit out in life and made £1 billion and continues to make a ton of money. So if you want to own West Ham and call the shots, go and do what he's done. Right, so you can't question even Gold. I actually quite like David Gold, but
I like David Gold. I've said many times I had no problem with David Gold.
Well,
but Sullivan, on the other hand,
told me on David Sullivan is was it Baptiste that had the health issues?
Yes,
that Sullivan gave him his personal doctor and everything, and just absolutely took care of the kid.
Oh, I didn't know about that. I didn't know that. I didn't hear that. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a lot about Sullivan that is kind of likable, but I just think he's very seedy looking, very kind of seedy acting, and very kind of. How can I put him? I mean, look, he's not done anything illegal.
He was a pornographer. John, he made his money in porn. I mean, these are generally not super upstanding people. I'm sorry, but it's true.
Exactly. Do you think he'd get an NFL franchise? I don't think he would.
No, his first wife committed suicide. It's kind of a sad story, everything considered.
Yeah. However, on the other side of it, he's basically got the buying power, put his money down, and to be honest with you, okay, it's your thing. You're the boss. On the flip side of it, it's not going to go forward under Sullivan the way. But however, going back to say 1980, the Kearns family owned West Ham, and the Kearns family were far worse than Sullivan. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care about Upton Park. It's basically bricks and mortar and a piece of grass. They sacked Kearns family sacked John Lyle, and that was the worst thing that ever happened to West Ham. And Len Kearns did it.
Read Chuck Corr's history of West Ham, and you'll see that our owners have never been any good.
No.
You go back as far as you want, and you can go back to almost Arnold Hills, really, but he wasn't really an owner. But you go back into the 1920s when one of the board members famously said West Ham are probably better off in the second division. They were struggling. I don't know if they'd just been promoted, were struggling to be promoted around that time. But one of the board members said, "No, we're probably better off in the second division. Probably more of a second division club." I mean, can you imagine somebody saying that today? Can you imagine Sullivan saying, we're better off in the championship anyway"? I mean, no, nobody would get away with that. So it's always been this way. The owners have always been terrible.
9 or 10 when the whole Icelandic thing went down. So
yeah.
Well, they were a joke. They weren't bad people. I think they had good intentions. I really do. But they were leveraged everywhere, like every other.
Yes, like
bit.
everybody
And,
else.
Yeah, and they felt foul of it. I mean, I do. I remember. I remember Eggy.
I didn't say. Eggy. No, I still want him out, Kieran. I do still want him out. All I'm saying is, we've had worse in the past. Okay, but I do still want him out. Okay, go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
I think Eggy was. I mean, the other guy was the main money, and Eggy was the front of it. But they were like, I think they had very good intentions. But it was just, it was simply West Ham. You could have the fifth richest man in the world buy West Ham and then go bankrupt.
But it wasn't real money, John.
No, that's right. Exactly.
You gotta have one of these oil petrostates because their money comes out of the ground. You know what I mean? It's not leveraged. It just keeps coming. I don't want to be owned by one of them. I'll be honest with you. I've talked about this many times. I don't want that. I don't have. You would lose.
So the one saving grace I think with certainly David Gold was like Gold grew up opposite Upton Park, representing West Ham.
As he very often mentioned.
Oh yeah, he wouldn't let you forget that. But I met David Gold a couple of times, and people would literally stand there trying to pitch business ideas and all the rest of it. And if he was a West Ham supporter, all he wanted to talk about was West Ham. And this was before he was at Birmingham. He would say, "Oh, where you from?" and all the rest of it. And then he would like yak about all the old days and all the rest of it. But really nice guy. I think Gold had great intentions, and I think David Gold.
But he didn't run the club. He didn't run the club.
No, he was definitely a figurehead. But I mean,
and the absolutely and the one who Karen Brady. I don't even like to mention her name. Why is she there? What does she do? What is her?
I like the fact she's shut up. That's basically what I like.
Is she?
I mean, well, Moyes basically
writing the articles in the Sun or whatever.
Yeah, that's
Thank
right.
God for that because that was a disaster.
And everything.
She came out and said we should never sign Robert Snodgrass, who was nothing but a great servant, a decent player, a guy everybody loves.
Fucking cross the ball, brother. Yeah.
I loved Snoddy, and he went out of his way to very
apparently he's in Prague.
Yeah, yes. He is in Prague. And as a matter of fact, the guy who has come over to run the practices for my son's team this season, who is from Scotland, says he knows Robert Snodgrass. So I've been trying to cultivate that. I don't know if whether anything's going to come out of that or not. But anyway, we'll see.
This season, I've always appreciated my dad's take on everything. Which my dad's been supporting West Ham since the mid 60s and everything, and my dad's take, like even when we've been at the bottom of the table in the relegation zone, has been, this is kind of just West Ham for me. Like, we'll get relegated, we'll be back.
Well, it's a lot of other clubs too, Cameron. I mean, and I know that somebody said this somewhere on social media within the last few months. I mean, if you don't have huge money, Newcastle style money, or Man City or Man United, everybody's going to get relegated at some point. I mean, look at the Premier League. Villa were down for years. Leeds have just gone back down. Palace have actually spent more time not in the top flight than in the top flight historically.
Leicester.
Can I just mention the latest beautiful rumor I heard?
Yeah.
Messi is going to Newcastle.
But so his overarching point was
here.
No, that was the latest rumor that came out of Newcastle, was that they approved because he's a free agent, right?
Yes, he's a free agent.
I thought for sure he was going to City last year, but yeah.
I thought
it's just like Newcastle, like Newcastle now is like Newcastle was in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
Like basically when the original and still the best Ronaldo, when he was supposed to go there from Barcelona
to Inter Milan. Ronaldo, you're right, absolutely 100% right. Thank you for saying that.
But and that's the thing. Newcastle will come out with these crazy rumors because it's a one-team town that has to feed their fan base ridiculous amounts of money.
They do have Sunderland right across.
They
the
have
river.
the money,
Oh, yeah.
though.
They do. That is right. They had the money back then. That's how they got Alan Shearer.
The
Yeah.
And
speculation
I
was
never
interesting,
forget Alan
though.
Shearer signing for them. He should have gone to Manchester United, and he should have been great. He went to Newcastle, and he was pretty good. Like his trophy cabinet
He
should.
was great. He wasn't great. He was great. Give him credit.
Gentlemen,
Oh, he was great. His win haul should have been through the roof.
That's a valid
my
point. Yes, he didn't win.
I have to bow out. I have to work early in the morning, but it's been a pleasure talking to you all. Good seeing you all, and everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for tuning back in. Hopefully, we get more of these back up and running. And don't forget to check out our shop and make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're not. Please, thank you so much. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you, Tim.
We'll
see you soon.
John.
Okay, we'll see you soon.
You bet.
I got about 15 more minutes, in all honesty.
That's cool. Yeah.
Just to finish my thought.
Yes,
my
please.
dad's very, very sage advice after having watched West Ham go down, I think 3 times in his lifetime and everything, is that the lows make the highs so much better.
That's true.
Where he's just like, the fact that we're in a European final right now, he's over the moon. He is just.
I am too.
So in Charlottesville, Virginia, we've got probably there's about 8 of us that we've convinced a local bartender at one of the breweries that they have Paramount Plus because they are the Liverpool Supporters Club home bar in our city. Okay. But we convinced one of the bartenders to open up early for us tomorrow because they usually open up at 4:30.
Oh wow! Okay.
2:30 for us, and
that's good.
Put the sound on, put the match on, and everything for us and everything. And there's going to be like literally just 8 of us, but they know we're going to be drinking our asses off. And and my dad
and I would say something else.
So ecstatically happy that we are in a European final, and that's the most gratifying feeling in the world to just see him being so excited for this event of being able to go out and drink with 8 friends and watch a European final in which West Ham is playing. And to me, it's the best. It's literally the best.
Look at 25,000 West Ham fans descending on Prague, where we have something like a 4,000 ticket allocation at that little stadium. There's more West Ham fans in Prague than there are seats in the stadium for the final. It's like a 20,000 seat stadium. It's very small. I think that's the right attitude to have. We all know that we don't support a club that wins anything for the most part. The other thing that I found really funny is. No, not tonight. No, I can't be up all night. I can't do it. Big day tomorrow, and then I'm going out on Thursday. I can't do it. Anyway, the other thing is you see people, not West Ham fans, of course, but other fans kind of criticizing the Conference League. Oh, it's just the Conference League. Man, this is a European final. And
it's because they're not in it.
It's because but the other thing is, Cameron, the way I think about it, for many years, there were 3 European finals, and I don't mean Intertoto. I mean there was Cup Winners' Cup, there was UEFA Cup, and there was European Cup. And if anything, Cup Winners' Cup was actually considered a little more prestigious than UEFA Cup because you had to win something to get into it. When they used to in France, when they used to have all the, they would list all the honors that different clubs had won on the L'Equipe website. And they always ranked it C1, C2, and C3. C1 was European Cup, C2 was Cup Winners' Cup, C3 was UEFA Cup. So there were 3 European trophies for, I don't know, decades. So I don't know why there's this notion now that, it's, Conference League is a 10-pot cup. Mourinho got it tattooed on his arm after they won it. I mean, it's a real trophy. And I don't, if you look, to me, it doesn't matter who we played along the way. Who we play along the way in 1965? I don't know. I mean, before Munich, before 1860, who did West Ham play? Nobody remembers that stuff. You know what I mean?
We played Ghent. We did play Ghent on the way to the yes. And I thought it was funny because they brought up a copy of the program, and I was just like, oh God. But again, it doesn't really matter. I mean,
It doesn't matter.
The Cup Winners' Cup was, in my opinion, a great tournament because
Yes.
you had the sort of the up and comings and the almost rounds that took the cup seriously. Because let's say most of the teams that back in the day, if you won the double like Arsenal did, or the rest of it, you forfeited your Cup Winners' Cup place to the runner-up.
Right.
And
right.
so because we were playing, because the weird thing about it, I've always thought this, that if it's called the Champions League now, but you don't have to be champions. It used to be called the European Cup when you had to be champion. So in my opinion, it should be called the European Cup now, not the Champions League.
Well, it wasn't a league back then either, John. It was a true.
Correct.
True
knockout stage. It was great. But I always say that if I was in charge of UEFA, I would say that the League Cup, whoever sponsors it, Carabao, whoever wins that and whoever wins the FA Cup is in the Champions League.
Yeah,
and that would instantly give prestige back to the cup competitions.
Instead of finishing fourth and getting in.
Yeah. When United first won the I think United have only won the European Cup once as champions. It's always been like third.
Liverpool won multiple Champions League titles without ever. They went 30 years without winning a Premier League title. Or
I remember
first division title either one. You know, they'd never won
but tomorrow night that trophy is magnificent.
It is. It's beautiful.
And if we lift that tomorrow night, I don't care what they call it, whatever else. we have beaten whoever's in front of us on the terms and conditions of today's game. I'm not talking about 1965. I'm not talking about the Liverpool team of the 80s or Real Madrid Galacticos or the rest of it. This is West Ham United's day, West Ham United's night. And if we lift that trophy, then you know what? I'd happily never watch West Ham again. It would scratch a 47-year wrong that I've had in my life. And I've been let down so many times and all the rest of it. I've got no hopes up. I've got no anything else like that. And the thing is, I'm not high and mighty about how long I've been supporting West Ham. We've just been shit for that. We have been shit for that long. Yes. And I'm just going to hope it happens. And so the fact of the matter is, I don't want my son to have to be 47 years old to see it again. That's what, and I don't know. My dad said to me he didn't think he would ever. It was the way of England right now. My dad actually loves Gareth Southgate because he thought he would never see England compete again in his lifetime, aside from 1990 at the World Cup level, and to be in a Euro final and a World Cup semi-final a couple of times on the spin. It's given an old man hope. And I'm kind of like, my mum reminded me I was 3 months pregnant with you the last time this happened. So, never seen it.
In 1976, I was, let's see, I'm sorry, 1980, the European final, 1976. 1976, I was 2. I had obviously no idea that West Ham existed. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything at all. I was 2 years old. Totally irrelevant, to anything. So, I mean, I do want to remember to enjoy it. Just enjoy it. And whatever happens, enjoy it. Remember that the journey that got us here was fantastic. And that, when we line up tomorrow for the team photos and the pregame and all that, just to soak all that in. You know what I mean? Soak it all in. It doesn't happen often. May not happen again for a long time. We don't know. But I will say this. Man, I love European football, and I have really loved those Thursday
I agree.
afternoons. Oh, it's been so, especially with the Premier League being difficult this season. Those Thursday afternoons, 3 o'clock. Oh, brilliant stuff.
Well, and a lot of Sunday games. Not a lot of 4:30 matches. That's been nice.
Yeah.
A lot of 4:30 Saturday mornings. So
no Monday nights.
No Monday nights. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to be said for it.
Yep.
A lot of Sunday mornings, which has meant I haven't always been able to watch them live because I teach Sunday school. I help teach Sunday school, but I don't mind. That's fine. I can come home and watch them on a nice, quiet Sunday afternoon.
So where are you watching, Lee?
I am probably going to a friend's house tomorrow. I was telling Tim and Scott before everybody else came on. My last practice, my last training session with my little 9 and 10-year-old team is tomorrow night, and I cannot miss it. And it's at 6. It starts at 6 o'clock, so I may be a little bit late, but I can't miss it altogether. So I'm probably going to drive to a friend's house, watch the match, and then honestly, if it goes into extra time penalties, I might just have to leave anyway. I
Yeah,
don't know what to do. But
great.
if it goes to penalties, we're not winning it anyway, so I don't even want to watch it.
Where
yeah,
are you based, Cameron? Remind me.
Send me your phone number and I will text you minute by minute.
Oh no, not oh, good Lord, I got to drive. Like it's like an hour away. So if I have to take off and it hasn't finished after 90 minutes, I don't know. I probably won't see the result until. Well, no. What'll happen is I'll go to practice, and the Scottish coach will tell me what happened.
Are you in St. Louis, Cameron?
No, so I am based out of Charlottesville, Virginia at the moment, but was previously based out of Richmond, Virginia. So yeah, I'm an East Coast guy. But yeah, just to shout out a few things for anybody who might be watching that doesn't know where to go to watch.
Yes.
Chicago Hammers are at AJ Hudson's.
Yep.
Baltimore Hammers are at Abbey Burger. Those are the two I know off the top of my head. Anybody feel free to chip in with where they're watching.
Vegas, we're going to be at the Hard Rock Cafe just down the strip. Should be there for about 11:30. If anyone's there early, ask for Jason. He is a West Ham supporter. Fresno Hammers will be at their brewery. New York, yeah. I think, is at, I can't remember the name
Smithfield
of it.
Hall.
Smithfield. Yeah. New York will be there. They're both LA Hammers have put up. They're going to be there. I got a random tweet from someone in Australia, in Perth, coming to San Francisco. And so San Francisco Hammers is going to be a bar there. That was posted on their Facebook page.
I would say, Denver has a group. You could look
Celtic Market, I think they go to.
Celtic Market, I believe, is where Denver goes. Mm-hmm. You could go. Also, Memphis. Isn't Memphis? Don't they go somewhere now? I feel as though there's a Memphis group.
St. Louis will be at
Virginia. We're at Random Row Brewery, for the record.
Okay.
St. Louis will be at the Amsterdam Sports Bar, and Dallas will be at McSwiggan's Irish Pub.
Yes, which is way up in McKinney, but that's okay. It's funny because I said Dallas. I'm from the other part. I'm from south of Dallas, and that's like 2 hours from where I grew up. But anyway, the Boston Hammers will be at the Banshee, I'm sure. They always are. Banshee down in Dorchester, which is fun. It's a good place to watch a game. I'm trying to think of who else meets on a regular basis, but that's a pretty Philly. Well, they'll probably be at Stowe's, right?
Yeah, I saw that pop up on Twitter. Good group, the Philly group.
Philly group. So John Nolan and Katie and Molly, good people we really like. They should be at Stowe's as far as I know. Stowe's. That's where they usually go. Yep, that's what they said. Stowe's Bar. So Stowe's in Philly. I can't think.
I've got to head off, fellas. It is bedtime for my little ones out here.
I got to go too, and because I have to get up early and take the boys to school, and I'm not staying up all night this time. People in the comment chat room, whatever it is. Anyway, we've done our predictions. We've kind of run through everything. So, you know what? We want to be back soon. Sorry we didn't really do a season this year with American Hammers TV. It just got away from all of us. But we're gonna try to have an off season, and no, this counts as one. There was a preview the first time. All right, this is the real wrap up. Charles. No, I forgot his name's not actually Charles. Charlie. Carlitos. Anyway, you know what? We do enjoy just being part of the West Ham family everywhere we go, be it in person, online, or on YouTube or whatever. And let's all just remember to have fun tomorrow, to enjoy it. And please, I would say to all the West Ham world, if for some reason we don't win this game, all right, let's please not destroy each other on social media the next day. All right.
Amen to that. Don't destroy Prague.
Don't destroy Prague, number one. And number two, let's just remember that it was a tremendous run. If it doesn't go our way, let's not spend the whole summer tearing each other down. All right, please.
Amen to that.
Hopefully it's a non-issue. We win, we celebrate all summer, and we come back in August with great expectations. So anyway, thanks for being here tonight, everybody. Everybody in the chat room, it's great to see you. Thanks to Tim as well, and anyway, and of course, obviously to Scott and John, who will see each other in Vegas tomorrow. To my friend down the highway,
John.
Yeah, to my buddy down I-95 in Virginia, Cameron. Now more than ever, come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.